Ooh, this is exotic. Muscle Cat Media. Nice. Cultural.
You're not allowed to do this without the express written consent of the MLB.
It's true. Is this your... Oh, it's your guy.
Dalton rushing, man. This is going to be fucking awful. Backwards K, right down the middle.
Oh, my God. Are they going to leave him loaded?
Oh, no.
Backwards K, right down the middle. What did I say? What did I say? Oh my God.
It was
Why was that the most obvious outcome ever?
Oh.
Well, welcome to Baseball Expats. I hope you enjoyed the first 4 minutes of a very live and real, authentic take of what this episode is all about. It's the Friday pickoff, the weekend pickoff. Spoon gives us his tips, and in a glowing endorsement for Spoon today, he is, as you've heard, riding an imperfect day. He's been so close. Spoon, you said it at the top. Give us the recap again of what your picks were and where you're at.
Yeah, I'm pitching a yes hitter here. We kicked the day off with Nationals over 4.5 team total, best offense in baseball, averaging 5.5 runs a game. They left the tying run at third in the 7th, ultimately finished on 4 runs for the first bad beat of the day. Then we had 2 of my favorite pitchers in baseball going head-to-head. Nolan McLean, Ayuri Perez, 13 strikeouts combined, $1.83. I thought that was money for a fruit-flavored spread. They both finished on 6. McLean had his last couple of guys in 2-strike counts, so we got to 12, 1 short. Sonny Gray was 240 for 6 strikeouts against the A's, and it looked like a trap, but I still went and had a little nibble. He finished on 5, 1 strikeout short. And to finish the day, rode Brian Wu. I knew he'd get tagged. I've talked about it on Destiny Draft. Roki Sasaki's a bit up and down. 8.5 looked way too low a run total between the Mariners and the Dodgers. What do you know, guys? We just watched the bottom of the 8th with the bases left loaded. The game's currently 6-2, on track to also miss by 1. We're staring down the barrel of an 0-4 with everything missing by 1.
And you can view all of this now at baseballexpats.com and clicking on the MLB picks section of the website. Look, we've got a lot going on. The expats are we're finally getting off the schneid and getting our shit together with 9 weeks in the Major League Baseball season left. But Spoon's live bet tracker and his MLB picks are now live on Baseball Expats. We've been talking about launching this for a while. We decided to launch it today, and it's maybe the worst day that we could have done it. It's funny because I've been sort of poking fun at Spoon to go, I kind of want to see what the logic looks like whenever a bet wins, but I have not been afforded that opportunity.
I guess we'll never know.
It's about version 7 of the Spoon bet tracker, and version 8 will probably need to happen at some point whenever Spoon finds us a winner.
I'm just glad we didn't push this live on Super Saturday. 4 players today. If that's going to stop the bleeding, so be it. Tomorrow there could be 9 or 10, and I don't know if I'd survive a 9 or 10 bad beat run. Let's just leave it here today. The track is live. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. We'll go tomorrow with a fresh start, including a couple of tips later in the show today.
I actually love it because of one feature that you have put in here, Rolsey. I love that you have the meter at the bottom that just inches as you get closer to the total, and all of them are stuck literally right before the line.
And to add insult to injury, kind of, that was Spoon's request.
Careful what you wish for. Careful what you wish for.
The amount of times that
we can
Spoon
watch it like
has
moving
been
along. I didn't know it was going to get stuck. Can you check this, Rosie? It looks like all my plays are getting stuck 1 short.
The amount of time that Spoon has either been or nearly been killed by his own invention is like it's starting to rack up into the tens and teens. I think it's getting bad. But like at some point we're going to have to test the winning logic. And look, we're kind of following this in live time. And will continue to do so. It's the top of the 9th in this Mariners and Dodgers game, so you can work backwards to figure out what time of day we were recording this episode. Spoon needs an extra run, so we're all Mariners fans. But again, you can head to baseballexpats.com and click on content up in the menu. If you click on MLB picks, Spoon's daily picks will be there. So sort of check in the morning, Australia time, and you'll be able to follow our man. You'll be able to back him, and there's some analysis in there as well. So something that we'll do for the remainder of the season. And yeah. Enjoy our man Spoon. Hopefully we can, as Spoon said, hopefully we can get some winners in there. We can see some green starting with Super Saturday when Spoon gives us some tips here shortly.
What's
Rollsy,
that
I don't know.
JK? What's that JK Rowling quote about rock bottom? I feel like that's really, really appropriate right now. I was set free because my greatest fear had already been realized and I was still alive. And so rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. That's very apt right now, boys. It can't get any worse than this.
Such a strange quote to
Yeah, have a good
like,
weekend.
I'm sorry, I
Right?
made
Good grief.
$500 million selling children's books.
like. Why and why her? Anyways, but Spoon, I want to pump you up a bit here though because and I don't know if it's possible to add this to the tracker or not. And I think we would have to do a better job of keeping data. But like, what are you at in July? Because you've had some huge, huge days. And obviously, when you're doing stuff like this, you're going to have days where you're at a loss and you just hope the days that you're winning kind of counteracts that. I get that. But in baseball, do you have a concept that you can share about where you're maybe at in July?
Yeah, my spreadsheet's around close to 10 days behind at the moment. I've been slacking with it, so I'm going to have to do a bunch of data entry. But we were nudging 25 units profit or so for July about 10 days ago. And yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, days like this, they hurt, especially the small slate, with a 7 or 8 pick day where you kind of get 3 and 5 or 4 and 4. It's kind of like the day didn't happen. These blowout days can have a little bit of an impact, but realistically over the course of a season, 4 or 5 plays a day for about 6 months, you're looking at around 1,000 picks. So when you zoom right in on a day like today, 4 picks doesn't feel great, but over the course of the season, it kind of evens out. And one thing that's been really good this year and the followers will enjoy is when the top ups hit, they hit at big prices, so if you're losing a couple at 220s and you're hitting one every few plays that's got a top up at $7, that usually seems to undo a lot of the hard work. Obviously that wasn't the case today, but rock bottom, I'm going to rebuild the foundation of my life.
Thanks, JK.
Well, look, to segue into something a bit lighter, which Spoon is also failing miserably at, and is talked about being murdered by your own invention. The Segway guy was murdered by his own invention. I think he fell off a cliff. Spoon's last in Destiny Draft going into the weekend was not helped at all by Brian Woo's appearance today. Ended up going 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, and gave up 5 earned runs. But he does trail JT by only a point. It looks like it'll probably come down to Eric and I do still have a Jacob Mizorowski start. I believe that's on Sunday in the United States. Eric, will you get one more start from Chase Burns on the weekend?
I will get one more start from Chase Burns on Sunday. It could come down to that, but realistically, I'm probably going to need Miz to have an okay start and then Chase Burns to have a ridiculous start, which is possible, but certainly like your chances better than mine. But I like my chances better than Spoon's.
Well, boys, it's not something I'm proud of, but I've gone deep into the playbook here and consulted the dark arts. Given the kind of day I'm having where everything's going wrong, I've gone into the drawer, and you might have noticed I'm wearing my Mike Trout Angels jersey with the express intent of making sure he strikes out 7 to 8 times this weekend and brings JT's score nicely below mine so I can pick up a couple of spots in third place. That's kind of the race we're in right now. It's about 7 lengths, gapped third, you two in a photo finish, and I'm just hoping to fill the minors and maybe get a bet return back.
And hello to JT if you're listening to the weekend pickoff, by the way. So used to often dishing out Cardinal voodoo magic. Spoon's trying to add some reverse devil magic by wearing the Angels jersey. Look, we will jump into some tips for the weekend for Super Saturday for Spoon as Julio Rodriguez strikes out and the the day officially does end on Spoon missing all 4 of his tips. Look, that's not a good segue at all. After Spoon was beaten by 1 on 4 bets on Friday, let's jump into Spoon's best for Saturday. Spoon, I'll give you the floor. We need some winners. What are we looking at for tomorrow's slate?
Yes, found a couple of guys strikeout-wise at plus money that I thought were a little generous price-wise. It's not the best slate tomorrow. There's a few of our favorites going around. We've got our Hunter Browns, we've got our Bryce Millers, Dylan Cease, obviously, but at this point, I'm so far exposed on Dylan Cease having a good outing every single time he goes out there that I don't need to be reinvesting on him every week. Please just win that Cy Young for me, and all of these bad days will be in the rearview mirror. I want to start with what is clearly the best pitching matchup on the slate tomorrow. It's also got Destiny Draft interest with JT's ace going around in Paul Skeens. I've loved what I've seen from Hunter Green since he's come back. He's obviously had some shaky moments. He had a long time off, but he's got such good strikeout stuff. And look, Reds Pirates, if you've been watching baseball for a few years, screams strikeouts. Both teams swing and miss a lot. We even saw that today. I think both teams struck out 9 or 10 times until the Reds walked it off at the end. But look, just 21 innings for Hunter Green since he's come back, and he struck out 29. His ERA is inflated, but it's a small sample size. It's above 7. He's had some issues with, command. He's walked 7 in 21 innings. So a few things that tell me that he's trending in the right direction. I'm mostly concerned about swing and miss, because even in the starts he's had where he's been lit up, he's been able to pick up strikeouts at a pretty decent clip. I mean, he gave up 8 earned runs in his return this season against Baltimore, and he still struck out 7. Followed that up with 12 strikeouts against the Cubs, 7 against the Rockies, and then the Cardinals got to him good and proper, which we know they can do to anyone. And I like to back guys that are coming off a start against the Cardinals, because no other team has that level of devil magic, and it's only up from here. So we found Hunter Green's rock bottom. He can rebuild the platform of his life. And tomorrow, 8 strikeouts against the Pirates, $2.20 right now over on Sportsbet. His pitch count's going up. I think he's going to be close to the mid-upper 90s tomorrow. The Pirates aren't a super disciplined team that build these long innings, so I think we'll be seeing 8 strikeouts from Hunter Green tomorrow at plus money.
Hey, are we seeing pitch counts generally go up even marginally in some of these? You're paying a lot more attention to this stuff than I am. So are we seeing them go up a little bit more as the days have gone by in the season?
Yeah, definitely for some guy. I think there's 2 parts to it. One, Hunter Green's the exception because he's only made the 4 starts returning from injury. So he's kind of on a different timeline from the rest of the league. The other part of that is the All-Star break. Depending when guys made their last start, they might have had up to 10, 12 days off. And those first couple of starts, we've seen counts maybe clipped 20%. I mean, Mizorowski was a famous example of that for Rosie in the first outing he had for Destiny Draft. But I think now, third time back from the All-Star break, is where I'm expecting guys to be starting to hit these season high pitch count numbers, assuming they've been in the league for a little bit and they're veteran guys. Obviously, your first, second year pitchers or anyone with recent injury risk is probably going to be excluded from that. But I think now is where you can take guys like a Christopher Sanchez with a lot more comfortable, a Dylan Cease with a lot more comfortability, because we know they can push 105, 110 and pitch deep into games. And sometimes that can make all the difference when you're chasing these higher strikeout lines around the 7, 8, 9 mark.
It's a good breakdown.
And look, I do think that Hunter Green start was probably too bad to be true against St. Louis his last time out. So I don't mind that as a bounce back play. Where are we going next for tomorrow, Spoon?
One of the sexiest team matchups on the slate. We've got the Detroit Tigers heading to Sacramento against the A's. I say that with all the sarcasm that can drip from my mouth. Look, all the talk's been around Tarik Skubal, and for those who didn't see, he's announced that he would prefer to play for the Dodgers when he hits free agency, because why wouldn't you want $500 million, an opportunity to coast all season and then turn it up for about 5 hours in October and win a World Series rig? But one piece that doesn't get talked about as much from the Tigers, who I think is a very good trade target in the starting pitching market, is Casey Mize. Now, Casey Mize is a very underrated guy as far as strikeouts go. He's obviously been overshadowed a lot by Skubal, pretty much since they broke into the league. I mean, when I started collecting baseball cards, it was both of these guys' rookie season. Casey Mize was the card everyone wanted. And when you got a rookie starting pitcher from Detroit and it was Skubal, you were a little bit disappointed. It's funny how much that's changed so quickly, and Skubal's gone on to be the Cy Young pitcher he is. But Mize is still a gun. 16 starts this year, 2.7 ERA. Strikeout rate's about 1 per inning. He doesn't go super deep. But for me, I think this is a guy that's consistently going to be around that 5, 6, 7 mark against high strikeout teams like the A's. And tomorrow we're getting $2.15 for 5 strikeouts. So I want to play there. And I also want to play at 7 or more at $6.50, which I think is terrific value. He struck out 10 Yankees just a few weeks ago. So the ceiling for this guy is there. The floor is there too. We're looking at plus money again, like we are with Hunter Green. If we can come away with one of those two, we'll end up a little bit ahead. If we can come away with both, or, one and Casey's top up, we're going to be in a really nice position for the pod plays.
Yeah, I like both of those. And I do have a question without notice. If we go to the Saturday slate in the U.S., so Sunday here in Australia, the Cardinals and Blue Jays are playing in Toronto, which we're just going to gloss over because both of our teams are terrible, Eric. Kevin Gausman and Quinn Matthews, for me, is a really interesting conundrum because Quinn Matthews is a guy that the Cardinals see as a 200 plus strikeout guy. And the fact that they're calling him up now, it seems like really interesting timing. Why would you bring him up in August and start his clock? They must know that he's ready and or they want to see what they have in him. And so I think they're actually expecting him to perform. And he missed a start in Memphis to go to Toronto and make this start for his major league debut. And I mean, throughout his minor league career, he's been a 10 or 11 up to 12 and even 13 in the lower levels, strikeout per 9 type of a guy. It's very anti-St. Louis compared to everything else that they have in their rotation. So, I mean, obviously, like I'll be glued to the TV early on Sunday morning to watch Cardinals Blue Jays to see how Quinn Matthews goes. But I just wonder how you play a guy like that if you were going to have a play with a guy who has such a reputation of being a high strikeout guy in the minors, coming up and making that start in August against a team like the Blue Jays who frankly don't have a lot to play for, just as the Cardinals don't have a lot to play for.
Yeah, look, I love these mid-season opportunities when you've been watching a guy for a while and you, especially in your case, Rolls, you've got the organizational awareness. The first thing I'm looking at is pitch count in the last start in the minors, but at this time of year, it's so much better than a rookie making his opening day start effectively or early in the season when you know they're going to be capped. And I think to a lot of extents, the fact that the Cardinals are, can we say it? They're kind of out of it, I think that helps him significantly because the leash wouldn't be as short as if the Cardinals had 4 or 5 more wins. I've had a lot of success over the last few years with circling these top prospect guys and going hard on them early in their career, especially the first start, because if they perform to the expectation that everyone's kind of hoping they will, you'll never get that line again. Like last year on Twitter,
Chase Burns.
I tipped Chase Burns at 5 or more strikeouts at $2.50 and took it all the way up to 9. I think 9 was paying like 17s. You've now basically got to take 8 or more Chase Burns strikeouts at around $2. You'll never get it again. And if you're wrong with a couple of these, it's okay. If they show the right flashes, I'm sure you'll get it back later down the line, as their career goes on. I had a Yuri Perez 3 years ago when he made his debut. Similar situation. I got 4 or more strikeouts at $1.85. I still think it's probably the best bet I've ever made in a single game situation because he struck out 7 on 68, 69 pitches. They gave him 4 innings and then that was enough. So yeah, to your point, I think there's definitely value there. Would I love to see him playing someone other than Toronto? Absolutely, because the Jays are a notoriously hard team to strike out. That's been the case for years. I would have loved to see him making his debut against the Angels or someone of that ilk. But that said, if we're getting plus money about 5 for a guy like this who's got that level of pedigree, it's going to scale super well up to probably, much like I said with Casey Myers just now, if you're getting $2.15 about 5 strikeouts, you're probably getting $6 to $7 about 7. You don't need to go overly hard on a guy like that at that price to put you in a good position across the rest of the day.
He's such an interesting dude because, he's just such an interesting guy because he has a plus changeup, which it just feels like all the guys in the Cardinals rotation have a plus changeup. Like he's sort of mid-90s in terms of his velocity. But it's just going to be interesting to see how that changeup plays at the big league level, right? You can have a plus changeup in the minors, and it doesn't always translate. So it will be interesting to see how he goes.
I'm trying to remember the last time the Cardinals had a guy that would go out there that I would want to be on strikeouts a lot of the time, right? Like the Cardinals rotation for a long time has been built to, you've got guys who can pop up and be flash in the pan, starter guys. I mean, Dustin May's been great this year. As far as a strikeout bet player kind of goes. But a lot of the time, I pretty much always expect your rotation to have a K per 9 rate of 7 to 9 across the board. I can't remember the last time there was a flamethrower or a guy that was double digits. I'd probably have to go through Baseball Reference and look. So I think it's an exciting direction if that's where the Cardinals are heading. And just looking now, I mean, Matthews is ranked 7th in the org for overall prospects, and he's the 4th pitching prospect. So could be a sign of things to come. And you've been saying for a while you don't want to be buying and you'd rather hold on to these prospects. I think we're going to get a good idea of where that plan sits come Sunday.
It will be super interesting as well just to do a bit of digging when players are called up after all of these trades are said and done, or just a guy that maybe is traded as well, right? Like the other one would be a guy like Thomas White, with the Marlins, right? The Marlins have said they're not going to buy, they're not going to sell. They have one of the top prospects in all of baseball who's been striking out coming off an injury at a really high rate. Like all those little call-ups, I think it's probably worth our while to do some digging on them if they're a pitcher, because again, Thomas White might, for an example of a random dude, might make
I
a
think
start.
he had
and you're like,
TJ.
is he shut down?
I think him and Snelling, their two top pitching prospects, might be out for the season, which is such a shame because, like, yeah, you throw those couple of guys in the mix with Sandy Alcantara, Ayuri Perez, and Max Meyer. It's probably the best rotation in baseball. Yeah, Thomas White shut down rest of the season.
That sucks. My point is guys like that, your AAA dudes that are young, 22, 24-year-olds. I just said a guy that kind of came to mind, I suppose, because I'd been reading about it. That sucks that he got shut down.
Yeah, but I mean, the Marlins, if we have baseball next year, I think the Marlins are in a scary position, especially if they do sell guys like Otto Lopez this deadline and get a further haul of prospects. Do you guys think we'll see DeVries this year?
Don't know.
Well, what 19-year-old shortstop or Jesus Marte?
Yeah, or does someone make a jump and do the whole Trey Savage thing and call dudes up really quickly from like high A to double A to triple A that are in a contending kind of position?
We tried that. The D-backs tried that. They were all no good.
Fun.
I was just, before we go, it's outrageous how difficult it is to find game logs for minor league players on any public domain. It's ridiculous how long that takes. But I've gone into the portal, and like Quinn Matthews has been into the 90s in 4 of his last 6 starts. So
love it.
Look, man, I think it could be a fun watch. I mean, he's got strikeout performances of 10, 7, 7, 7 in there. So like it'll be interesting to see how they put that lineup. I'm with you. Like those can either be like super inflated, or they can just be like, oh, a guy's making a debut against a team that doesn't strike out much, put it at 5.5. I think if it's at 5.5, I might have a go, just quietly.
I can't remember seeing one of these, and I've been watching them for a long time. I can't remember seeing one where I'm like, this prospect is being overrated. Like the line is never too high to the point where you take the under. It's kind of right where you'd expect it and you leave it, or it's value and you take the over. But I can't remember seeing a guy come out and it's 6.5 at even money and you're like, whoa, a lot would have to go right. So I'm expecting, like it might be 4.5 at $1.70 and you'd need to go, 6+ to get into that 230, 240 range. But if that's where it is, I'm keen to play. It's a shame it's a 4:40 a.m. game and Port Adelaide play on Saturday night. So could be on at the casino. We'll find out.
Hey, Rollsy, what if the Cardinals win game 1 and 2 of the series, and then Quinn Matthews comes out and shoves against the Jays, and the Cardinals sweep, and they're back in the mix with other teams losing around them? Where will your head be at?
Well, he's pitching game 2, so if he comes out and also pitches game 3, that would be really impressive.
I thought it was Sunday.
Sunday our time.
Sunday in Oz.
Oh. Okay.
You get McGreevy on Sunday in the U.S., baby. The Greevy train. The best pitcher in baseball in the first 3 innings, and the worst pitcher in baseball from the 4th inning onwards.
Well, I think Max Scherzer is just the worst pitcher in baseball in any inning, isn't he? He's got an ERA of 10.
Yeah, well, he's got eyes that.
Well, then same question, point in different directions. And a shove.
Yeah, look, it won't really change my opinion. I think this team's been found out for who they are offensively, for being young. I think a lot of that preseason magic's kind of teared off. They're still buoyed by what I've seen, and I think they're going to have a good team going forward. And there's some guys that need to lock up, but I've pretty much folded up the tent, I think, for 2026. But as we talked about early in the week, a team can go on a 6, 7, 8 game win streak, and the wild card races the way they are in both leagues, anything can happen. So again, tomorrow we are on Hunter Green and Casey Mize watch, and as we spoke about, it will be interesting to see that Kevin Gossman going against Quinn Matthews a little bit later on in the weekend. Again, you can head to baseballexpats.com. If you click on that content drop down, you can go to the MLB picks and see Spoon's entire slate of picks throughout the weekend. You can also check in on Destiny Draft by doing the same thing at baseballexpats.com. We'll be back for Destiny Draft. What is it? Round number 6. It'll be on Monday. That'll be our next show. But until then, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy your baseball. Bye, everyone.